and welcome to the Busted Knees and Pretty Trees podcast. Glad you came along. Much appreciated. I am Travis, he who stares at boulders, white, along with the pale-cheeked spirit killer, Bradley Greer, and of course, Chief Thunderslumber himself, Patty Richardson.
That's a great name for me. Harrison, when we go backpacking, I fall asleep at like 4 o'clock. Like the second we get
The sun's
camp,
still up.
I'm going into my tent. But I also, as you've heard a couple times, I sound like a bear. When I just sounded like a bear, actually. When I snore, though.
That's pretty normal, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a good one, guys.
Yeah.
This is a special one for us, especially because we're from Fort Wayne.
Yep.
Well, exchange your packs for haversacks, don your tricorn hats, grab your muskets, and fix bayonets, because we are preparing to storm the fort, the old fort. Much like our no less than enthralling presentation of Mr. Appleseed himself, John Chapman, we're not flying too far from the coop today. We're actually headed right into Fort Wayne's historical backyard. Patty, Brad, and I are proud of our little city here in Northeast Indiana, and now that we're semi-old dudes that are obviously still totally cool and chill, we've discovered history and a greater interest for our community's past. To our delight, we have captured ourselves a frontiersman that we plan to interrogate about one of Fort Wayne's most iconic landmarks. We suspect cooperation, otherwise he may find himself floating down the Maumee. Joking aside, our guest today comes to us from historic Fort Wayne, a volunteer-driven nonprofit tasked with revitalizing the old fort and educating us about Fort Wayne's place in early American history. He is an ardent volunteer, reenactor, and tour guide with an abundance of knowledge about the old fort. Harrison Snyder, everybody.
Yay!
Thanks for coming, man.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And thanks for inviting us to do this out at the fort.
Yeah.
And giving us an absolutely amazing tour of what's going on right now, including the construction.
Can you tell our listeners where we're at right now, where we're sitting?
Yeah, so right now we're sitting in what we call the modern building down at the fort. This is where we have our board meetings. If you've ever come to one of our events and gone to the bake sale, it's that building. And it's also, of course, where we still store our artillery pieces.
Yeah,
so,
I'm staring at a cannon right now, and it has got me juiced.
Holy cow, I didn't even notice that.
I did not even notice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I would have gotten you guys locked in if we were being stormed.
Those are real buttes.
Yeah. This has been awesome, Harrison. You when you say that we're chill or whatever else you said about us, Travi,
cool.
I just got to know that Harrison's 24.
Yeah.
So we are kind of cool. We're chilling out with a younger cat right now, learning.
Yeah, he's teaching us a thing or two.
Yeah. Hey, there's the News Panther, Brad or Walt.
Does anybody have anything else before we get into this? Travis, were you all wrapped up?
Well, you know how we do when we have other guests on, it's usually outdoor nature-related kind of thing. So we always ask them, like, well, what's kind of that core reason that brings you out there? But I kind of want to ask you the same question, but at this level, what is it that makes you want to volunteer and spend your time at the fort and learn all this history?
Yeah, I started volunteering here when I was even younger than I am now. But I started volunteering here when I was 13, actually.
Wow.
And at that age, I wanted to shoot the cannon and wear the hat and march around, right? But as I get older and as I do this more, I really come to understand, how important the fort is to the fabric of our community here in Fort Wayne. And my favorite moment is when I'm giving a tour or something and I can see realizations happening in somebody's eyes, live time, That's definitely what keeps me coming back.
I had 10 of those moments for the last 45 minutes, guaranteed.
Oh, just a sense of wonder.
Like, whoa.
Like trying to imagine what's going on.
That's all I was doing the whole time. Well, listening to Harrison and Tom, but also just being blown away. Awesome.
Yeah, that's a good answer. It's just, there's those things that in life that everybody has that they're drawn to. And this is yours, and I'm glad you're doing it, and I'm glad we're here.
Well, and it's a good answer in terms of just making people happy. I like the more people that we talk to through this podcast, it seems like a common denominator that all the effort that somebody's putting into whatever they're doing, seems like the number one reason is because other people are happy about it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's just cool that you're doing such awesome things, and it's, you know, what's pushing you is the response from other people.
Well, when Brad and I were here, when we were in elementary school, like those are core memories for us. And there were people like Harrison doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate that.
Well said, Travi. Brad, let's get into it.
All right, so this week I found a story talking about how engineering students from the University of Miami created a new device that helps coral reef by partially blocking the UV rays.
Did you pick a story from the University of Miami because this used to be a Miami Indian settlement?
No, I didn't even think about that.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
That wasn't drive-by science. Good job, Travi.
Very nice. Well, I'm sure that you guys have all heard, I think we've even talked about how there's a problem with coral reefs bleaching.
Yep.
Like around the world, big problem. And so what happens when they get too much UV ray, they expel their algae, they bleach, and then they die. And then all that extra algae also, I think, this is drive-by science. I think it contributes to algae blooms too, that are toxic and deadly to fish and all kinds of marine life. So this device that they created is called the canopy shade. That's K, it's spelled not like canopy, like a tree canopy. It's K-A-N-O-P-I. If you want to Google it to take a look. It uses interlocking hexagonal sections that can be expanded and contracted to fit different reef size. And it floats on top of the water, has an inflatable border that holds these, in the hexagonal shaped things are like blankets basically. Mm-hmm. So it holds everything into place and just gives the coral reef a little bit of shade. And it still lets some sunlight through because they live off of photosynthesis.
Is this like a big sheet that's floating on top of the water?
Pretty much. I do have a picture I can show you guys real quick. So yeah, if you're home and you want to look it up, there's a website on I think it's the University of Miami website.
Oh, gosh.
And it is kind of weird just because imagine seeing that thing just floating in the middle of the ocean. Like, I wonder how they can make sure boats don't run into it or anything.
So I don't know about the answer to that, but I have a separate question. So coral reef bleaching is caused by too much sun?
It's one reason.
One reason.
Yeah,
okay.
there's multiple, because it's basically the reefs are dying. So anything that can cause it to die causes it to bleach.
And that was a big enough part of why they're dying to...
Yeah, so they're in Miami. So Biscayne National Park is part of the Florida Reef. And that reef specifically has been experiencing bleaching due to increased water temperatures caused by climate change.
Okay.
And its worst bleaching was in the summer of 23 when water temperatures were 5 degrees hotter than usual because of El Nino. So it's a pretty recent traumatic event that the reef went through. And many reefs, 100% of their corals were bleached during that event. So like it was a big deal.
Bleached all the way to white, or like a percentage?
Completely dead. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And that's part of it, because I think the Florida Reef is that's one huge interconnected reef.
Yeah.
And around the Keys.
Is there any migration happening? Like, because water temperatures, would they be more likely to move north?
I know fish.
I mean, I know reef takes a long time to build up.
Yeah.
So it happens so slow.
Yeah, I wouldn't think. I've never heard of reefs migrating. I don't think.
Well, I'm not saying like they pack their bags and go. But you know how
guys, it's hot here. We're out.
That hill of coral reef just slowly, almost like at the speed of geology, starts moving north.
Yeah,
I'm curious. I do know through David Attenborough's documentary that he recently released,
Legend.
That reefs are pretty darn quick to bounce back.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about if they're fully dead. I don't know what the percentages of bounce back or the time of bounce back there, but I do know that it's like within days, if not hours, a reef can start rebuilding itself. Like, boom.
No kidding.
So that's pretty promising.
I also don't know. I kind of wish I would have looked up, like, if it's dead. Like, say I forget to feed my sourdough starter for 2 days. It's like kind of dead, but I can still bring it back to life.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know about that.
So this team of students, I think there was 4 of them. They're working with the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation. And this all came from that foundation having a coral thermal stress design thinking challenge.
Say that again?
Yeah.
Don't say that again.
Coral thermal stress design thinking challenge.
Oh, okay.
So basically they dropped a challenge to everybody to say, come up with a way. And I don't know if there was funding supported from the foundation. I would assume
what's the
so.
abbreviation for that?
CTSDTC.
I
don't think
they
that's
messed
hard
up
to
on
say.
that
Oh.
one.
There's no vowels.
Jeez.
Yeah. So the team of students have been working to refine their idea, and the College of Engineering at the University of Miami has been helping out, and the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary have been helping out. So they've been revising their design several times. They recently manufactured and tested their first prototype in a pool at the university, and they soon hope to take it out to the open ocean to give it its first dry run test. And so it's still pretty early times, and I don't know what kind of time frame they expect to see results once they start putting it out there. If it is a week or a couple of days, they start seeing some come
What's
back.
the testing look like in a pool?
Well, I'm probably just testing the device, make
Whether or
sure
not
it
it
floats
floats,
and holds
stays in
together.
place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's a pretty cool. I mean, I know I'm an engineer. We never got to do anything or that cool. So
Yeah.
that'd be a pretty cool college
That would be super
project to do.
cool. And to know that was a tournament or
A challenge,
A
a
challenge?
thinking challenge.
a thinking challenge to design this thing, and then somebody out there's design got picked. They got a grant. Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
pretty awesome. Who is there a name associated with this? Or I imagine it probably wasn't a single person either. It was probably
We'll say they are graduate students.
yeah.
We'll give them a shout out. Joshua Prabhahar. Oh man, of course their names are all going to be tough. Montel Twin.
You started. You can't stop now. Man. Keep going.
Danielle Behar and Kylie Rux.
Hey, shout out to you. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
What a wonderful deal.
Yeah.
God, I hope that works.
I know
So,
it's
It's like
probably
crunch time down. I mean,
Yeah.
it's there's not a boatload of waiting before we're losing these things for geological periods of time.
Yeah. So hopefully in a year from now, we'll have a follow-up story.
Darn
Nice.
Skippy.
Harrison, what would a man in
Hey,
18
that is the News Panther, though.
what would a man in 1800 say about Brad's story?
I mean, I believe that the time period we interpret here is probably 5 or 6 years after Europeans found out about the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
I mean,
man, imagine coming up on that thing.
yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
That's crazy.
All being in those old ships, and I love the ocean. Super big fan. Not a lot of fear, except for being in an old ship like that and being marooned, nailing that reef and being stuck. And I mean, that harbors a lot of creatures that just want to absolutely rip you up.
I'm not a boat guy.
Yeah, and the dudes that would be in the Antarctic, their boat would basically end up on top of the ice.
You know,
You're like, well,
That's the story when you said earlier today that you were having trouble finding one. I just saw where Russia and another boat that do the Antarctic icebreakers.
Yeah.
They just met in the North Pole for the first time, I believe, ever.
Oh, wow.
Where 2 ships were there at the same time. And they were close, waving
Dang.
to each other, walking
Oh,
on the
no
ice over
kidding.
to each other. Yeah.
Wow.
It was cool. It was a cool story.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
Russia has a huge fleet of those.
Well, it's up there.
icebreakers. Yeah.
Well, that was
Cool.
a great news, Panther Brad.
Yeah, thank you.
We have a lot to get into with Harrison, and I am literally chomping at the bits to do it.
Yes, let's get this interrogation
What
started.
say ye we do this?
All right.
All right, Harrison, we're back, and I am, just explaining how excited I get to start asking these questions. So it's kind of a softball first one, but just one of my favorites that I'm just curious about simply because of your age, because of just the sheer amount of knowledge you have. But for anybody that has not been here, what is the old fort and what role did it play in the early days of Fort Wayne?
That's, a great question.
Yeah.
But the old fort, we are a reconstruction of a 19th century fur trading fort. More specifically, we interpret the third Fort Wayne, which stood in what is today, of course, the city of Fort Wayne, stood here from 1816 to 1819. More broadly, though, we interpret any time period that has anything to do with Indiana's history as a whole, right? So we have events that start as far back as the 1690s and go all the way through World War II and even the Vietnam War.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Right here?
Yep.
Okay. All right, then.
Well, as soon as he said
this
Vietnam.
is why I'm interested.
Yeah, it's interesting because in Charleston, Fort Sumter and Fort Moultrie, like Fort Moultrie was used up through World War II. Like they put huge cannons on it and stuff. And it was a Civil War fort.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Pretty wild.
Huh.
It's solid.
Being from Fort Wayne, we were talking about it earlier during that amazing tour you took us on. It is just like, for anybody that hasn't been here, I absolutely implore you. Jennifer gave us an event schedule for next year, but I absolutely implore you to come take a look and see what they're doing over here. We'll get into the reconstruction project a little bit later, but it's just awesome. And I've not lived in Fort Wayne my whole life, but a good majority of it. And anybody that I've told that I'm doing this interview has had a personal anecdote that they've gone over with me. And I've stood there for 30 minutes to 45 minutes while they recollect their past. And I'm like, this is the 10th time today.
That's a lot of people.
But it's great. And it's just awesome that you're a part of the rebuild, the reconstruction of this and the history that goes into it. Because Jennifer alluded to it earlier during the tour. Fort Wayne wouldn't be Fort Wayne without this fort.
Right.
So it's cool that it's still here as a visual monument, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like how big of a part it plays in the community. Like I was telling you guys earlier, I slept here when I was in 4th grade.
Yeah.
Like we would do field trips and overnight field trips. And I built a little model of the fort when I was a kid. So like every kid knows.
You would just dream of living there for a little while. And
maybe a week. You'd be like, okay.
Well, when I look at like the pizza the oven outside and then all the fireplaces, I definitely get a sense of like, this is how I want my kitchen to be. And then Harrison goes into more of the detail. I'm like, nah, never mind. Crank that heater on. And
everybody only gets one washing rag.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Tell the listeners that story.
Yeah. So in our barracks at the fort, our fort was designed to house roughly 75 men. We would have had 12 to 16 men assigned to each room, but sleeping on only 6 to 8 beds, right? And on top of all of that, the Army regulations stated that there is to be a rag affixed to the back of each barracks door so the men may wipe themselves. So all 12 to 16 men share one sweat rag.
Oh, baby.
And the fact that it's affixed.
Yeah.
That makes it even more difficult.
Well, there's one guy that's like, I'm taking this. You know what I mean?
Gosh.
No, this is coming with me and I'm using this. No one's going to find it.
So this isn't like the original fort. This one is a replica of one of the original forts. And this was actually built in 1976.
Yeah, so we're in the middle of a reconstruction project right now. But yes, our older buildings were completed in 1976 and opened on the 4th of July for the 200th anniversary of the United States, right?
Wow. That's
and the hope
sweet.
is that you guys are going to be done with this reconstruction project by 2026, 4th of July, because that'll be the 50th anniversary of the fort and the 250th anniversary of us.
The Union.
Yeah.
Got to get it done.
Tom's out there sweating it.
Yeah.
That guy was awesome.
So Harrison, how did you get here? How did you get involved with it?
I mean, for as long as I can remember, I have dragged my family to like every event at the fort, always wanted to come down here, talk to the reenactors and everything. And then eventually, I was in middle school when this happened, but one of our board members recognized me, Tom, actually, who you guys all met today. Yeah. But Tom, recognized me, saw that I'd been down there a lot and was like, you're here all the time. Why don't you volunteer with us? And ever since then, I guess I've just never really turned back. Yeah.
What do you do though? you kind of seem like originally the way I learned about you was you're reenacting and being a tour guide, but the way it's kind of transpired today is I feel like you're just an everybody guy, everything guy.
I mean, we run an all volunteer organization, so everybody is an everything guy.
That is impressive to me.
Yeah, I never knew that.
100% volunteer driven.
Yep.
Wow. So reenacting, you're helping paint, you're helping to rebuild, you're helping design. Yeah. You're doing it all. Yeah,
doing pretty much it all.
Tight, Harrison. Dang it, 24. I'm gonna keep saying, do you ever get is that an old gag that everybody mentions how young you are?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I'm used to. I get it less now. I think the facial hair helps.
Yeah.
But when I was 16 and giving a tour to, 5 people in their 60s, yes, they would oftentimes be like, "Oh, wow, you're a kid."
Yeah.
Well, how old were the junior enlisted that would have been here?
That's a great question, Brad.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it's kind of interesting because they were a lot older than what we would imagine, right? A lot of these men would have come here in 1794 with Anthony Wayne, or they would have come here in 1800 when they built the second Fort Wayne, right? And at the time, the enlistment term is only 2 years. But there's no boat home. So the Army will ship you all the way from Philadelphia to Indiana, right? Well, your 2 years are up and it's time to go.
Wow.
Okay, well, the Army needs their gun back and their clothes back, and you can walk alone, unarmed, and naked all the way back, right?
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So by 1816, when the third Fort Wayne is built, the average age here is about 30 to 35 for a private.
That's good.
Wow. Because they just hung out.
Yeah,
they
just
sticking around.
stayed there.
Was it conscription or volunteer?
It's a volunteer army at this time.
Would they
keeps in
just
line.
send for more men if they I would imagine some of them would die.
Yeah. So yes and no. Technically, the full garrison is changed every time the fort is rebuilt, right?
Okay.
Technically. Now beyond that, the most of our turnover happens during the War of 1812. We were, a frontier fort. We're kind of like a supply depot for the Army. So the Army would come in and say, "Hey, these 5 guys are sick. Drop them off, take 5 of our guys, and keep moving."
There's a lot of traffic going through there. Okay.
Wow. That's I'm having trouble keeping up.
It's kind of cool. The first guy who builds the fort gets to name it after himself.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And we went over that too, that this wasn't built by a crew. This was them showing up, deciding this is it, this is the place, and then building their own fort.
Yeah.
He was telling us, or Harrison was telling us earlier, that the first winter. What was that?
Yeah, so in 1794, when Anthony Wayne built the first Fort Wayne, it was huge. It was more than twice the size of the fort we have today, and they didn't quite finish it in time. So the men under the command of Anthony Wayne spent the first winter sleeping in tents inside of buildings without roofs.
Yikes.
His eyes were too big.
And they didn't have a 10-degree down sleeping bag.
No, they didn't. That weighed next to nothing, right, Brad?
Yeah.
Come on.
And these forts it seemed like they were very common, especially going up the Maumee and all that. Because I was looking at a little map, and they're all the way from Detroit all the way down and further down and into Ohio and Kentucky.
So our fort, once again, originally is built as a part of, it's called the Factory Fort System, commissioned by George Washington. And we're just one of, at one point, there were hundreds of these forts all the way across the U.S. For example, there's one today, reconstruction of a trade fort like ours today in Missouri. But these style of forts were as far north as the Upper Peninsula and as far south as the Gulf of Mexico, really.
Wow.
Dang.
This was all along the waterway. Is that why, is that why there's so many and they created the factory fort system? Was they were just going to take the waterway every so often, boom, that's where we're posting up?
So usually, like with our fort, for example, it's because it's at the conjunction of multiple rivers, right? So the idea is to try to find a spot that trade is naturally flowing through and then be in charge of it, right?
Yeah.
And at that time in American history, we're not only, attempting to trade with Native Americans to expand our own self-interest, but they were actually, like, in 1794, when Wayne builds his fort, we're worried about the French. We haven't done the Louisiana Purchase yet, right?
Oh,
so we're still preparing for a European war in addition to trading with Native Americans and with, local settlers.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there was a point to where the French helped us during the Revolutionary War, but then that kind of turned.
Yeah, so
just like the French
help us with the revolution, and then after we win the revolution, our territory now butts up against Louisiana, against what is New France, right? So historians call that the quasi-war of the 1790s. It's kind of like, it's the same idea as the Cold War in, the 50s, 60s, but...
Yeah, I guess it wasn't so much that they wanted us to win, they wanted Britain to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
So was this area considered the Northwest Territory at that point?
So by the time our fort is built in 1816, we gained statehood in the year 1816.
Oh.
Before then, for a long time, we were part of the Northwest Territory. Eventually, that gets broken up into, it's after Ohio gained statehood, but it gets broken up and we become the Indiana Territory.
Yeah.
And when it was first established, the Indiana Territory was, in essence, what is all of Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, Illinois, huge. And it had 2 counties, in case you were curious, north and south.
Wow.
Remember that, Illinois.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Wisconsin.
We don't need more than 2.
You're not Hoosiers, though.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to start a fight with our listeners in Wisconsin, I can tell you
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, and that reminds me, because there were so many forts, I remember when I was doing my research, looking up historic Fort Wayne, it might get confused with historic Fort Wayne in Detroit.
Yes.
Anthony Wayne went up to Detroit and built another fort up there, right?
Yeah. Well, people come to our events all the time and ask, where's the big brick buildings? Different fort. But yeah, Fort Wayne, Detroit was built initially in the 1830s, so slightly after our time period. And during this time, there would have just been Fort Detroit. And of course, Detroit.
Wow.
Isn't that
I've
crazy?
been up into Detroit. Well, I go to Detroit quite often, and they have a statue of Anthony Wayne and a couple other things. And I remember nobody told me that growing up. All my time in Detroit, nobody told me that there was
nobody put that together.
Ever. And I remember walking by it like, well, what the Sam Hill?
Yeah.
And then doing all my own research, DYORing. And finding it out and just being like, oh man, this is cool, because the city that I grew up in, and then the city that all my family lives in Detroit. So the city that I go to all the time, there was a connection. That was a good feeling.
You're not the only connection.
I'm not the only connection. Yeah,
it seems historically Fort Wayne and Detroit have always been, related in some ways.
Are you about to mention the Pistons?
Well, there's that too.
There is the Zollner Pistons.
They stole that, but we did have the first fort. So
yeah, take that.
Take it.
Yeah,
Detroit. So I just want to kind of kick it back just for a second, back to your doing your recreations or your reenacting. Sorry. What is the favorite part about putting on that uniform? And I just want to add one quick anecdote that when I came here to watch a reenactment when my son was, 10 months, something like that. And I had no idea what was going to, I didn't bring earmuffs. I didn't bring anything to dull the sound. And just standing on the sidelines, I think I was standing over by the river watching the reenactment happen. And the second that the cannon fire and then the guns started going and everybody started screaming at each other to like pick up this end of the line or whatever was going on, I was like, shit, oh my gosh, what is going on?
Did you hit the deck?
I didn't hit the deck, but like it definitely surprised me. So I'm curious about this question, and it's another softball that I have, granted, but is it intense? Is it as intense being on the side in it?
Yeah, I mean, it can feel very real sometimes.
Yeah.
The largest battle reenactment that I've ever been a part of was probably, it's also in Indiana, but it's called Mississinewa 1812. It's one of the larger War of 1812 events. But no, like at that battle, They have horses and everything.
Wow.
And I don't know if you've ever been kneeling, holding a bayonet towards the breast of a horse, but
Nope, never.
No,
it
thank
feels
you.
it feels pretty real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be terrified.
It's like, I hope everything goes right.
Yeah. Never work with kids and animals. And that is a big animal. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, it set with me. It just, I was telling Harrison earlier that it just kind of hits you, that moment hits you just bam, right in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's no, like, that was okay. Like you don't get that feeling.
And you're not going to forget it.
No, I have not forgotten it. My son and I, like, as we were preparing for this interview, he was like, "Oh, that place." And I mean, I've told him about it numerous times. I showed him photos and stuff, but something in the back of his 10-month-old brain, like that just stored right there.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Like,
I mean, there's something that it really envelops you in that time period because the fort is just so big.
Yeah.
You can't see around it. Like you don't, you can hear some cars and stuff. We're right in the city, but the river's right there. It all just seems like a place stuck in time. And having those reenactors there and everything, you can almost suspend your disbelief.
Yeah.
And it really does something for you. It's like watching a movie that's really good.
When there's reenactments here, who are the aggressors and how do you choose what it's going to be?
Yeah. So, I mean, it depends on the time period, who's fighting, right?
Yeah.
But beyond that, usually it's up to the individual. It's just like any other hobby. There are people, whoever gets involved in this hobby, 9 out of 10 times has a very specific thing they want to do from the beginning.
oh,
right?
I bet. Yeah.
So people will join and be like, I want to be the British in the War of 1812. I want to be this regiment. I want to have that gun.
I want to be the commander.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people do that. But in essence, usually it's up to the individual person. That being said, we haven't had a lot of British reenactors at our War of 1812 events. A lot of them are Canadian, and we've actually been having some trouble getting them to cross the border and come down to the U.S.
Oh, wow.
Well, because of all the stuff that's going on.
Politics and essence.
God dang it.
French Canadians?
Mostly English Canadians, but some French.
That would be interesting.
What's
to
funny
hear
is
some French yelling on the battlefield.
I was talking to a guy that I work with, and he does reenactments, but then he also got into backpacking. And he said the first time he went backpacking, he took a lot of his reenactment gear with him. Oh, and he's like, I quickly realized I needed some different gear for backpacking.
That's a tough hoof, dude.
A lot of ounces.
A lot of ounces.
Yeah.
So I just find this fascinating, and I'm sure that because of the impact that it had on me while you're reenacting or at the end of your reenactments, you field a lot of questions. So I'm just curious for the listeners that are out there that are as juiced as I am to just be involved with the old fort. But I'm speaking more to the reenactment side with this question. Like, how does one get involved? Do you just show up year after year like you did?
I mean, in essence, yeah. So there's a couple of ways to get involved in reenacting as a hobby, as a whole. But to get involved with the fort, you just fill out a volunteer application online. We'll put you on our email list and then just come down to any of those days that, we've emailed the schedule out. Getting involved in reenacting more generally, there's a lot of ways to do it. One of the best ways to do it is to volunteer at your historic site, because we'll give you a uniform. We'll let you borrow a musket and all those things. But the other route you can go is by joining an individual unit, right? So there's groups of reenactors who come together and they set a schedule. They go to these events, every year. Usually they'll pool money for food and things like that. And they also sometimes have loaner equipment, but those are pretty much the two ways to get involved.
Dude, would they, like a group, would they, I guess, label themselves a specific historical military regiment? Or?
So one of the groups that comes to the fort a lot is the 1st Light Artillery. So they interpret the War of 1812, and they are the 1st Regiment of Light Artillery.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
What do you do? What's your...
It depends on the year.
Yeah.
But
what's your favorite?
My favorite is usually the 3rd U.S. Infantry. So here at the fort, we'll either interpret the 1st or the 3rd U.S. Infantry. The 1st was here during the War of 1812. And then after the war ended, they switched to the 3rd. Most of the men actually stayed the same. They just changed the number of the regiment. But I like interpreting the 3rd U.S. Infantry for kind of a weird reason.
What is it?
Well, there's this notion among some reenactors, that no matter how much you shoot the cannon and shoot the muskets and things, it's not real combat, right? So what I like about the 3rd U.S. Infantry is interpreting a peacetime, right? What did the fort look like in 1816 to 1819? We can never really entirely recreate what 18th century warfare was like because we're not shooting each other, right? But we can, as accurately as possible, entirely recreate what a day, as a soldier in peacetime would look like.
Oh, that's great.
Like we were trying to imagine when we were walking through the old fort.
I'm telling you, that was going. My mind was there the whole time.
The daily,
like your guys' winter event.
Yeah,
when you guys are just living in it.
Yeah,
that would be to be a fly on that wall, or like be up on a pedestal, just looking down over the fort while everybody's just doing their thing. Mm-hmm. That would be so cool. Like just step back,
For sure,
I get that. Are you one of those people that don't find as much of enjoyment because of the lack of you're not actually slaughtering?
It's an interesting way to put it, but I mean, of course, it is fun. It is fun to shoot your musket. It's fun to shoot a cannon, of course. But I do think that, there oftentimes, especially visitors to reenactments, you have a lot more to gain, learn a lot more and have a more interesting time at everything that happens beside the battle, in my opinion.
Yeah. Sorry, Travis, you go ahead.
Well, you said if somebody wants to volunteer, they can come and you'll get, they'll get a uniform and a musket and, all the gear. But you mentioned earlier to us that you had purchased your own musket and have you purchased your own uniform and all that?
Yeah.
And what kind of research goes into that? And do you change your kit up when you're changing different units?
Yeah. So, a lot of research goes into it, and there's a lot of really great resources out there. The reenacting community is such a wealth of knowledge. Now, that being said, my own personal kit that I've bought and everything, I recently, I would say over the course of the last 3 or 4 years, really, I've kind of gotten to the point in reenacting where I'm getting super nitpicky. Like, most of the clothes that I wear to reenactments, I've sewn myself, and all of the visible stitching is hand done.
Wow.
And it's all linen or it's all pure wool. Like, I've come to the apex of reenacting. So
you're using thread that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, sometimes.
Holy crap.
That's awesome.
I could definitely see where you've reached that level and some just Tom, Dick, or Harry shows up. You're like,
his uniform is just busted.
Get it
well,
do you ever have to turn anybody away? Be like, sorry.
No, I don't think so. But we also, we do understand that this hobby takes a lot of time and it's also not cheap, right?
Yeah.
So really, when it comes to newer people, I just want to see that they have the passion for it. You know what I mean? Of course, it's great to be as accurate as possible, but it's not necessarily all about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I would imagine at some level it's just if you see a kid like yourself that just has a passion for it, they may not be at the level that you are. It took you 11 years to get to that point, but just the pure passion and just the excitement in somebody's eyes of doing it and taking part in it would probably suffice.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You got them hooked.
But I know I would get irritated. I have that grunt attention to detail in me that I would just be like, you better.
You both are front or back of the bubble people. So, you know what I mean? So I imagine that back of the bubble or front of the bubble attitude you guys have that's probably why. Just a little nitpicky. Like, walk faster, guy. That's a backpacking,
The uniforms.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah, I mean, that is very much, I've heard a reenactment be described as 50% fashion show before, and I think that's very accurate. There's a lot of, this button isn't that button, and it should be this type of button from 18. Yeah, exactly.
Brass.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I'd show up, but just me being me, I'd be like, I don't need to spend that. I can do this. I can get it at Goodwill, guaranteed. I'd just be that guy.
Do you get any beef with other reenactors?
No, you don't have to answer that, Harrison. We don't want to start fights here at the Old Fort.
No, generally I would say no, I don't.
No.
Generally.
There's something to be said too about that knowledge and that passion being passed down generations as well. Like getting Bazzy hooked on it and getting the younger generations excited to learn more about it and keep it going.
I was going to get to the community part of it later, but since we are talking about volunteering and all that, what do you have a lot of younger volunteers? Is there an age range that you're shooting for?
Yeah, I mean, right now, if I had to guess off the top of my head, I would say we have about 5 volunteers who are still in high school or just graduated, right?
Nice.
And then there's probably 3 or 4 about my age. But honestly, we're always looking for younger volunteers. A lot of that comes with the hobby, believe it or not. Reenacting the War of 1812 tends to be popular among older straight white men. And a lot of people who get involved here are retired because they simply have the time on their hands.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's good that it was surprising to me to kind of hear that there was more youth here, but it makes me feel good because the future is secure.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm glad to know that this thing is getting revitalized and it's going to be around for a long time.
So in terms of the future, what does the Old Fort do to maintain future connections, get younger people involved? I know Brad did the sleepover, things along those lines, but what's going on now?
I mean, the biggest things that we do, of course, are events, right? Our next one, if the building is done, our next one will be on December 7th. But that's definitely where we get the vast majority of our new volunteers. And then in addition to that, we run a Facebook and everything. So we do some public outreach. And then finally, we also, for the past probably 4 or 5 years now, we've done summer hours. So we have someone down here at least 2 or 3 days a week giving tours and talking to the public. And I personally have seen 2 people volunteer just from doing that. So.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
And you do that all while construction's still going on?
Yeah. So this past summer, usually we'd be open all week, but we were just open on weekends to allow for the construction.
Yeah.
Even just being here while the construction's going on and seeing the beams on the ground and what's it chinking?
Yeah.
Chinking, that's impressive to see those cuts right in front of you. That's just pretty cool.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet.
Everything's nice and square on those new buildings. And
it's awesome.
It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, because along with that, a lot of the methods you're using to build is pretty accurate to what they're using, which is really cool to see.
Well, before we get into all the building stuff, let's just tell the listeners what's going on here. You guys are going through quite the massive reconstruction project.
Yeah, huge.
Been about 2 years, you said, that you guys have been going on. You want to be done by next year, July 2026.
Yeah.
So can you explain a little bit or a lot of bit, however much you want to go into it, sir?
So like I mentioned earlier, this reproduction of the fort was originally built in 1976, and it was originally open as a full-blown museum, right? There was ticketed events, ticketed admission, of course. They had an executive director, full staff, all of those things, right? Well, by the mid-1990s, that entity was bankrupt. And these buildings were actually abandoned by the people of Fort Wayne for about 10 years. So they sustained a lot of damage. Our organization took over in 2005, took over the maintenance of the buildings and everything. And we've done what we can. But at the end of the day, we're not regularly funded by the state, federal, or local government. So it came to a point where the buildings were beginning to become a hazard to the people visiting the fort. So right now, starting, like you said, 2 years ago, we're going through and one by one demolishing and rebuilding all of our buildings. It's a pretty huge project. When the fort was first built in 1976, this one that I like to use on tours, but when the fort was built in 1976, it was roughly $1 million.
Wow.
Accounting for inflation alone, that's $7 million today, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So it's a huge undertaking. Yeah.
What I find most impressive is one, the way that you and Tom, Jennifer, everybody's gotten your grants and the effort that goes into getting those, just applying for those grants, really. But then also the amount of volunteer time that you're getting from different contractors and other people in the community that have taken part in the reconstruction.
Yes.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to do it without them.
No, that's awesome. Tom was telling the story about when they took off the roof off the blockhouse, and that's just a sign of like people give a shit.
Oh, the contractors were overjoyed to do it.
Well, it's so cool. Like, I guess when Tom and you were telling the story, everybody likes something, but it's different to like something than actually leave your couch and go volunteer your time or your effort or your money or machinery or whatever it is. That's a big leap. I mean, I like a lot of things, and very few times do I lift a finger for that. You know what I mean? So I guess in the long way, what I'm saying is, listeners out there, if you guys have any way of volunteering your time, your money, your machinery, anything along those lines, get a hold of these dudes, because they're doing something masterful out here and could really use that help.
Yeah,
sure.
and it's something, being living in Fort Wayne. I was born in Fort Wayne, and it's always been just an iconic part of this city, and to see it built up like this is really incredible, and I'm really freaking excited about it.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't visited for such a long time, and finally, there was that period where there was just nothing going on, but seeing it all fresh and new is very inspiring.
It is.
And I believe Fort Wayne will get it done.
Oh yeah, I have complete confidence that we will.
It sounds like you all do.
The city that saved itself, and it's going to be the city that saved the fort. The old fort.
It's history.
Yeah.
What kind of, as you guys are building this, I mentioned the chingies. I'm sorry.
Chinking.
Chinking.
It's the stuff between the logs.
Right. Okay. I mentioned that. But what kind of research? I know Tom mentioned that you guys actually have the manuscripts from the original build. So are you guys just following that to the nth degree? What kind of research data do you have?
We, this actually a really interesting question. But when they were initially rebuilding the fort back in 1976, they settled on this third Fort Wayne, the 1816 to 1819 one. It's the least historically significant, most people agree. But it's the only one that we had existing original architectural drawings for, right? So the 1976 one is built using the plans from 1816, right? Mm-hmm. And then we're doing our reconstruction using the plans from 1976.
Beautiful.
Yeah. The original plans, I believe, are in the Ball State archives.
So. Oh, wow.
Okay, that's interesting.
I was going to ask, where are they, and can you see them?
Can you see them?
That would be a question for an archivist.
Can we hold them?
We're getting them on next. We're following up with them. We're all going down there, Jennifer included. We're all going to Ball State and looking at these documents. That would be awesome.
But you mentioned the way it's being built is in such a way that it's going to be more sustainable and it'll last longer.
Yeah, hopefully. So when they did the reconstruction in 1976, they did it 100% the way it would have been 200 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Which, of course, is beautiful, and the craftsmanship's amazing. But it poses problems as the building deteriorates. So we are using it, going to have the exact same look, but we're using more modern materials, treated lumber, first of all, and we're also using a slightly more modern building technique.
Yep.
And that's the chinking.
Yeah. So usually there would actually be 3 or 4 inch gap between each log. But instead, we're actually putting a smaller log in that gap.
Okay.
So it'll make the wall more secure over time.
Yeah.
Now, did they do that so they didn't have to build the entire thing out of wood and they could build it faster? Fill the gaps with basically mud?
Yeah. I mean, in essence, you can build faster because you have to notch the end of the log half as much as you would have to make it flush, right? And then in addition to that, it was honestly just kind of standard practice by that time. I mean, you can look beyond our fort. You can look at crib barns from this time period, any log cabin, and you'll see basically the same construction. So in addition to, maybe being faster, it also is something that most people in the time period would have some sort of understanding of how to build a house, right?
Right, yeah.
So
when the buildings were built in 76, is that where a lot of the large white oak was, or was that from when they originally built it, they used white oak?
Well, so in 1976, they did use white oak, and originally they did as well. There's some rumors that there's a timber of the original fort from 1816 supporting a floor joist in one of the buildings downtown.
No kidding.
Oh, wow.
But yeah.
Which one?
I think it's called D&B Homes, but it's right behind George's Automotive on Spy Run.
Okay.
It's on the right back there. It's this big old brick house. It's easily, the house itself definitely dates to, the 1820s maybe. But according to local legend, that house is built using the original timbers of the fort. We need to
investigate.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, because even that, you can't get white oak like you used to.
Yeah.
Because isn't there a forest that's maintained for one of the ships?
Yeah.
Like the original.
In Indiana.
It's in Indiana, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Sadly, the U.S. Navy didn't want to give us any of their logs.
That's what I was thinking. I was like,
did you ask?
They're very protective.
I don't think we've asked, no.
Yeah, that would have been sweet. But oh well. It looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. It's amazing.
It does. I like the story of the general or the commander, how his window looks straight at the gate.
Yeah.
That was impressive.
Yeah.
It's a whole
Because he
building.
designed this whole what's the gentleman's name?
Major John Whistler.
Major John Whistler.
Yeah.
That guy designed this whole thing.
Yeah.
I wonder do you think a major back then was a more powerful rank than a major is today?
That is just a wild question.
No idea.
Because I don't know that a major would be running. I mean, think about in Iraq, would a major be running a 76 troop outpost?
Was
roughly.
Anthony Wayne a general when he first
When
came out here?
Yeah, he would have been.
Oh, they send a general out here, man.
Yeah.
To put down roots. Yeah.
He actually, just kind of a fun fact, but technically speaking, he was a captain. He was a brevet major, so he's a captain acting in the role of a major. At that time, you had to be a major to command a fort anywhere.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I think that happened a lot, right? After the revolution.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of brevet.
All the time.
Yeah. Cool.
Why?
Lack of people that could fill the roles.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people died.
I mean, the first graduating class of West Point isn't until 1811, 1812. So,
yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
But I'll take that. I'll take that as gospel.
Yeah.
And ultimately after everything is rebuilt and everything's up to snuff around here, what do you imagine? I imagine there's going to be more of a presence here.
Yeah.
And what do you imagine that being?
Yeah. What's your future? What's in your mind? What's the future look like?
I mean, in my perfect world, the future for the fort would look honestly a lot like its past. It would be, fully funded. We'd have full-time staff. I really like something that I love about the fort is we do not charge admission to our events. Obviously, I would love for that to continue, but if we ever did become a fully funded historic site, we might have to charge admission just to, cover our costs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's ultimately everybody at this organization's dream is to have, a full-time museum open to the public and constantly
that would be
interacting with the public
really
and everything.
So if I'm hearing you right, the future of the old fort in your hopes is the history of the old fort.
Yeah, in essence.
Yeah, that would be ideal, right?
Yeah.
And some little fourth grade Brads can come stay the night.
Nobody wants that anymore, Brad. They all remember that night.
Yeah.
When you and your dad showed up.
My dad would have been like the historian to it, because he's like a huge history
joint
guy.
over in here. This seems a little like we need to measure that up a bit. Hey, young man.
That privy would have actually been 5 feet further away.
So unless you guys have any more questions, I have one last one. You guys have any more inquiries you'd like to make?
Probably. We'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I just for the last question, I always like to leave it open to you a little bit, because I want you to give your message out to our listeners. But I do, just because I'm curious of the future and kids interacting in this environment and what's going on, because the kids are our future, no doubt about it. So what, on top of leaving your message, what is kind of one thing you would want to say to the future generations that are going to come here and visit, or they're maybe listening in their car or whatever?
Yeah.
What message do you have?
I think the strongest message that I could have is that, you know, no matter how you feel politically, or no matter what your identity is, or any of these things aside, we as the city of Fort Wayne are fundamentally this place that is born through military operations and conflict. And I think that the fort serves as a place for us to heal those wounds, right? To kind of realize our past, understand what has happened. There's nothing we can do to change it, and use those lessons really to move farther into the future. So I think that's why the fort is really important to Fort Wayne.
Yeah, I've sold. You got me, sir. Every time we do these interviews, it's that part that always hooks me. This is what gets me like juice, just because I want to hear what you have to say. And that I mean, you were inspired at one point to be out here and drug your parents out here to all those, and then your passion is just incredible. And like most of our interviewees, it's just inspiring. That was perfect. Well said, Senor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I did find a question.
Okay, ask.
Well, our podcast, it really was birthed from our love for going backpacking and being in the outdoors and stuff like that. And so I kind of wanted to tie something in for those listeners that are just like, well, I didn't come here for a history lesson. But hang on a sec. These soldiers had to make it out here.
Oh, yeah.
So, and they had to carry gear.
Yeah.
And they had to, so they were essentially backpacking.
Most
all the
of
way
them,
out
yeah.
here. So what was that like, getting out here on foot? Because you said they didn't have animals.
Yeah. I mean,
wow, that
they
was
would have
a
either
great turnaround. I was like, shoo, where's he going? And that was good.
A little long-winded.
All right, go Harrison.
But yeah, they would have been, the vast majority of the army would have been moving on foot for sure. In terms of, you know, honestly, there's some things that do in some ways parallel to backpacking. If you've ever heard of pemmican, is like kind of a survival food. It's different types of animal fat and ground up dried beef and such. And, you know, this is something that they'd be carrying with them in the same way that you might carry an MRE or something today, right? Beyond the food and all of that, the average man, as far as supplies goes, each man would have 3 shirts, 2 pairs of pants, a pair of shoes, and an extra pair of soles to replace the soles on the shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And then an extra jacket and some sort of a nightcap or something, right? So really not all that much. Yeah.
How did they, when they bivouacked back then, what kind of shelter would they make for themselves?
That's a great question. So it depends on how formal and how large of an army you're moving, right? So if you're marching, you know, like for example, William Henry Harrison, who was then the military governor of the Indiana Territory, came to Fort Wayne in September of 1812, marching 2,500 men. he had a whole wagon train full of tents for all these guys, right? But in smaller operations, they oftentimes would either go without a tent or there would be something. Sometimes you'll hear it called a big shebang, but it's an improvised tent. You would take one tarp, hang it between two ropes, and have 15 guys sleep under it, right?
So
big shebang.
I feel like I've slept in a few of those on my deployments.
Yeah. Cowboy camping.
Probably a little nicer,
big
though.
Shebanging.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely don't want to let you out here without giving your information on how people can contact you, how they can learn about you, your email, social media, whatever you want to let out.
I'm honestly not really on much social media, but if anybody is ever interested in the fort, historicfortwayne.org. If you're looking it up online, make sure it's the wooden one. Do not confuse us with Historic Fort Wayne, Detroit. That one is made of brick. Ours is made of wood. But yeah, if you're interested in volunteering, you can fill out a form on there. Of course, we accept donations on our website. And then we do have a phone number, which is linked to one of our volunteers, Bob, and he is a wealth of knowledge. He'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions.
Wonderful. And we also will be posting those on our Blue Sky and also on our website.
Nice.
Try to give you an Instagram. So try to give you a little bit more shout out, and hopefully our listeners will take part.
Yeah.
All right. Is that it, fellas?
Dude, absolutely incredible time, Harrison. Thank you very much. Jennifer over there, thank you very much.
Yes,
that
thank
was
you.
A masterful tour. I enjoyed it. This is going to be a moment I will remember forever.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad that you took our listeners on a little bit of a journey.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank
made
you.
me feel like a kid with the tour. It was amazing. Thank you so much.
All right, let's get out of here.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Keep on sauntering, everybody.
Bye.
Talk to you later.